Our next guest has discovered the 5 unique types of female entrepreneurs and what it takes for them to succeed in business.
Michele DeKinder-Smith reveals what she found in interviews with more than 1,000 women in her new book, See Jane Succeed. The Jane out-of-the-box founder runs her own multi-million-dollar company, so she knows a thing or two about what it takes to win at business and at life. Michele, so good to have you on Live at 9.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
First of all, let's address the whole female entrepreneur scenario. Do you find that more women are likely to have entrepreneurial tendencies or more men? Or is that something that you have ever delved into, the gender break?
I don't know that there's a gender tendency necessarily. What we do see is that women own close to 1/3 of businesses in the United States now.
Wow.
And that their motivations really are about trying to find a way to express themselves and conduct their work while also being able to manage their time. Time is a big motivator.
They want to
for
be in
women
charge
business
of their
owners.
time. They don't mind working hard and full-time, but they want to do it in a flexible way. Is that?
Absolutely, absolutely. To have that freedom and that power to work when and how and with whom you want to work.
And those motivations you mentioned earlier, are they very different in many cases? Not everybody has the same things?
That's exactly right, and that's one of the triggers behind understanding these 5 types of entrepreneurs that our research has uncovered. Each one of these groups has a different motivation, and your motivations can change over time, so you might move from one type to another. But at your current state, you're going to have some primary motivations that determine which type you are.
Is there one common denominator of all those 5?
I don't know that there's a common denominator other than I believe that all entrepreneurs really are looking for some sense of freedom in their work.
They desire to build something themselves rather than just have a set task somebody else gives to you.
Absolutely.
So I can't wait to find out the 5 types.
Okay.
First of all, your story, because you're one of the types. How did this all start for you? I mean, have you always been an entrepreneur, or were you at one point a corporate or a W-2 employee who?
I was a corporate employee, a very corporate employee for many years, for about 10 or 12 years. And I was in the research profession, so I was a research consultant, and that's where my research background comes from. And then about 11 years ago, I decided to go out on my own and start my own first business.
And why?
Truthfully, I got a little tired of corporate politics.
So you wanted the freedom.
Right.
Exactly.
It was chafing.
Exactly.
Okay.
So for me, I really just wanted to have the opportunity to do my work and not have to report to anyone else.
Didn't you have a lot of people, though, who are more security conscious say, "What are you thinking? You have a great job. It's safe."
Sure, of course. But when you have that calling in your heart, I think you know you need to follow it.
So are you the what kind of entrepreneur?
Right now, I am the type that we call Jane Doe.
And what do we mean by Jane Doe?
Doe, I'm going to spell her last name. It's D-O-U-G-H. And Jane Doe is really about building a larger business with teams and systems and really trying to create some nice income and an asset for herself.
Okay, so taking it from a small, more like a self-employed single practitioner to a large, maybe franchising or doing some intellectual property sales, that type of thing, right?
Absolutely. So it could mean having a large team, right, and having a number of employees.
And that's tough because then you have to be a leader and a coach.
That's right. That's right. So not everyone's a Jane Doe. About 1 in 5 women business owners are. And I certainly didn't start that way, but over the past 11 years, I've gotten to that point in my business where I now have a team of about 15 people working with me.
Okay.
All right, what about some of the other traits here? What are we talking about?
The types.
One of the other types, I'd like to start with Accidental Jane next, I guess, because that's where I started personally. And an accidental Jane is someone who really didn't have a vision to start a business, but she had a skill, something she was really good at. And then she decided somewhere along the way, you know what, maybe I can do this for myself.
Okay.
And make some good money and just have a nice life. And what we're seeing in our research now is that there's an increase in the number of accidental Janes, perhaps due to economics, you know, the economy. When you get laid off and you have that kind of a skill, you might say, hey, you know what, maybe now's the time for me to really do this for myself.
Especially if you can't find another job that replaces the income you lost, and we're seeing a lot of that right now.
Exactly.
So they kind of fall into entrepreneurship.
Exactly.
What's
so
the
that's
next?
the accidental.
And you were that at one point. You didn't
started
really
that way.
intend to be a multimillionaire type of business owner. Okay, so what's the next type?
We talked about Jane Doe. Go Jane Go is another one.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, Go Jane Go, I'm sure you can imagine her just by her name. This is the woman who has a little difficulty saying no. So she's great at what she does, but her to-do list is too long. She's making the most money, actually, of all 5 of the groups, but she's also the most time-starved and has trouble getting away for vacations, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Very assertive, very aggressive, or is that part of it? Or?
Really service-minded, actually.
Service-minded.
She cares deeply about her customers and the work that she's doing for them, to the degree that sometimes she goes above and beyond, and that causes difficulty getting away from the business.
She needs to be the Jane DOUGH so that she can get some leverage.
That would be a great strategy for her. And
Let me talk to her.
Yeah,
I'll talk
there
her
you
into
go.
that.
You tell her.
So what's next?
Okay.
And there's Mary Jane.
Okay.
And she's spelled M-E-R-R-Y because she's the happy part-timer.
Okay.
So she has a business, but there are other things in her life that are really important. She may have young children at home or be caring for an aging parent, something of that nature. But enjoys her business as a great outlet for
Is she
practicing
doing
her
it more
gifts.
for incidental income, perhaps a house note, or not? She's not looking for multiple 6 figures.
Oftentimes this is a second income situation where there's not as much economic pressure. The money is a nice addition to the
Right.
family, but
Right.
not normally the primary.
That's very cool. How can we find out what kind we are?
You can go online to find out what type at janeoutofthebox.com.
Okay.
We have an assessment there that's free, and when you take it, you immediately get emailed your results.
Interesting. And then you have tools if we want to be the other kind, like if we're a Mary Jane and we want to be a Jane Doe.
Absolutely, and that's a lot
grow
what the
into
book
that.
is about. It gives a lot more detail about each of the 5 types and then an action plan for how to become the Jane you really want to be.
How
Okay.
cool.
Michele, thank you very much.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it.
Thank
Now,
you.
next is Jack. We got to get that book going.
Oh, definitely so. Okay.